Now, this is weird, because this is not the first time we've made a video about this dude. In fact, I'd say it's like maybe like the 7th or the 8th. This guy's been involved in a number of transactions for teams that I cheer for, and transactions where the teams that I cheer for send him away. But now we're talking about this guy and his post-NHL career, and just how bizarre it's getting. Folks, today we are revisiting our open discourse on CSKA Moscow forward Daniel Sprong. And as you can see by the image, hey, this guy's a former Detroit Red Wing. As you're probably familiar with due to his profile, this guy is also a former everything else, it seems. He's a former Penguin, a Duck, a Capital, a Kraken, a Red Wing, a Canuck, a Kraken, a Devil. He's been all over the map. This guy's had 8 NHL teams, and if you add on the AHL teams, it gets even crazier. The one consistent factor that you will find with fans of these teams that have seen Daniel Sprong play is that this guy, like him or not, is a talented NHL offensive producer. He does nothing when he doesn't have the puck outside the offensive zone. He is not a complete NHL hockey player. Not a complete hockey player in general, but when you just isolate the offensive pizzazz, what he does when he has the puck on his stick, how he's able to breeze by guys, dangle goaltenders, snipe from distance, and do all that, this guy's a really good talent. It's just you'd be ignoring a big sample of all the other stuff that he does, or I guess doesn't, provide. Sprong has always been a very polarizing NHL player. And it's why, even though he had back-to-back 40-point seasons with the Kraken and the Red Wings, he ended up going to Vancouver. He scored the first goal of the year against Calgary in a season that was ultimately not great. And then the Canucks traded him away for future considerations. Seattle got him. They sent him to the AHL. He then found himself in New Jersey, where he played one playoff game. And that was that for Daniel Sprong's NHL career. He did all that at 27 years old last year. And now, things have gotten even more bizarre for him in the KHL with CSKA Moscow. Here's the thing. You look at his point production and say, hey, the guy's got 31 points in 29 games. He has an A on his sweater. He is an over point per game KHL stud. Why exactly, Lego, are you saying that things are bizarre for this guy? Well, let's go out there and take a look at what Hockey News Hub tweeted yesterday, shall we? CSKA Daniel Sprong, healthy scratched for a 9th game in a row. Hashtag KHL. Tyler went out there and replied saying this: I would love to know the details of what goes on with this guy, because he is a fantastic hockey player, but literally no team wants to give him ice or put up with him in their organization. And lots of teams will tolerate pieces of crap. Here's the thing. Daniel Sprong is the #1 point scorer on CSKA Moscow. He has the most points by far. 31 points versus second place, who's got 22 in 40 games played. Sorry, Dmitry Buchelnikov, but he's not doing all too well either. He's also hurt. But Nikolai Kovalenko, Prokhor Poltapov, I mean, none of these guys can touch Daniel Sprong's point production in the KHL. The guy's gotten healthy scratched 9 straight games, but he is their top scorer by 9 points. If you go to the KHL and the point per game numbers in general, you will see that Daniel Sprong is top 10 in the entire league when it comes to point per game. Of course, though, in terms of total points, he is not top 10. He's just barely on the outside of the top 20 looking inwards because he hasn't played in 9 games. What in the world is going on with Daniel Sprong? What has gotten into him that he's pissed off CSKA Moscow to the point that they won't even play him for multiple weeks in a row? This is so bizarre, and I don't think we have seen any situation similar to this in the NHL in the past. I'm saying NHL because I'm gonna be honest, in the KHL it probably happens a lot. Top tier players, best players on the team, not getting ice time, not getting minutes. We just saw Ivan Demidov last year go through this entire cycle with Roman Rottenberg and SKA St. Petersburg. For what it's worth, Themby Rowe goes out there on Twitter and asks, hey, does CSKA Moscow hate Sprong, or is it just the coach or the organization's way of doing things? Hockey News Hub says I'd say a bit of both. You could also say that this opens the door to more discourse about whether or not Daniel Sprong is a coachable, worthy hockey-playing talent for a team, if this is the way he gets treated by these organizations. The constant with Sprong throughout his time in the National Hockey League was that he could never be constant. It was never consistent with this guy. Rick Tocchet called up Sprong before he ended up coming to Vancouver, and Tocchet tried to say, hey, we want to make you a good defensive player, we want to help you, we want to be able to use you in all situations, we want you to be able to play the right way and capitalize on your offensive skills, and Sprong was good with that. It's why he signed with Vancouver late into that 2024 offseason. But then guess what? After 9 games with the Canucks, he gets traded for nothing. Literally, future considerations. It was a very distinct way that Vancouver and Daniel Sprong fell apart, and it didn't take long. It was so quick that this guy was no longer a part of the franchise. So I do wonder if this sort of dynamic carries over from team to team to team. I mean, for what it's worth, when Sprong was in Detroit, it didn't seem like things were bad for the guy. I think a lot of Red Wings fans admired the talent that he had. It's just they were like, yeah, no, this guy sucks defensively. He doesn't do anything in his own zone. He doesn't do anything in the neutral zone. Say what you want about personality, say what you want about the way he interacts with teammates or whatever. We don't know any about that. We just know what we see. And we see a talented player who doesn't really have much talent when he doesn't have the puck. Seattle took a chance on him twice. He had a 40-point season with the Kraken, then 2 years later he gets traded back over there for free. Kraken fans probably saying, like, yeah, no, we're getting this guy who scored a lot of points with us back. That's awesome. And then he got sent over to Coachella Valley. Now he's in the KHL. He's gotten scratched 9 games in a row. He's the top player on his team point production-wise by a long shot. Yet they refuse to use him. What in the world is that? Let's go out there and read All Love Coco said this on Twitter. I haven't heard specifics about his locker room persona, but he definitely had some off-ice incidents, and I'd be surprised if he isn't the best person you would want in a room. Tyler replies, that definitely makes sense. I just figured it must be bad considering there are worse players with major off-ice issues whose teams seem fine to line up or keep. And I think that is the biggest red flag of it all. Like, hey, there are worse players who get playing time. On ice and off ice, there are players that are just not good human beings that are given the rights to play. What does Daniel Sprong have to do to get in this lineup, or what has he done to get out of this lineup? That's the big question here. It's so bizarre, so unique, and one of these situations that we're not gonna ever find out in the short term. Like, this might take a while for us to keep following up on and inevitably see till the end before we actually understand what's really going on here. So with that in mind, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Daniel Sprong and the way his situation has unfolded with the CSKA Moscow club? Do you think that this is a Sprong issue? Do you think this is a KHL issue? What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on. And bye.